there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in.
So today we're talking about Carlos King's Sunday message. That's interesting. Anything I say is an alleged, is alleged. And in my very, very personal opinion, this is for entertainment purposes only. None of this is personal. The Copyright Act of 1976 is in the description. So like I said, we need to talk about Carlos King. He does these message of the days on Sunday, and we got to talk about it because some people are calling him out in the comments, like basically saying, I wish you would live by the things that you say. This is coming from somebody who works for Satan. like the comments were lit. So it says the following. It says that, you know, he was like, hey, raindrops, message of the day, you know, believe in God, that you can't seek revenge, you can't manipulate situations. So this is interesting coming from a reality TV producer. God rules everything, and that everything that happens to you works for the good of God and the good of you. So you need to have faith, and you also need to have people around you who are smarter than you. And if you are, if everybody on your team, if everybody that surrounds you that you're paying for, if they're simply your friends and they're not smarter than you, they're not more experienced than you, you are losing the battle. You're losing the challenges, and you need to have people. If you don't have any friends or family or colleagues or coworkers that can basically tell you some things that are going to make you uncomfortable, some things that you should or shouldn't be doing, and telling you things that you need to hear and that you don't want to hear, you don't have people that are in your best interest. And I was like, wow, Carlos King, this coming from the king of the person who does not like to hear any criticism. Make it make sense. Then he says, you know, if you don't have the right people to tell you the truth about yourself, you're going to fail. Well, isn't this a concept, Carlos? And then he says, to be kind, that kindness is a lost art, and that people poke to get a reaction out of you. However, if you are a person who has too much to lose, you do not have time to respond to all of the mess and all of the shenanigans. And that at this point, when people try to come for you, you know, just let them. Do not get exhausted. Remain kind. Remain you. And that's how you become successful. So here's my thing, Carlos King. This is great and all, but you literally work in a field that is designed to cause drama and discord and negativity. And then you have built up a reputation now where several black women, dating back to your shows on Bravo, dating back to your show R&B Divas, dating back to your work on WeTV, and all of these networks, the OWN network, there have people who've been either spoken out about you or your production team specifically, who have either resulted in actively quitting the shows that you have been a part of, or even suing, or even, you know, trying to call you out, but ended up backtracking because they still wanted to stay on the show for whatever reason. And, you know, it's not a good look. But my problem is this, Carlos King. You're the same person that said that nobody is going to tell you what you need to do or don't do about your shows. And I would think that constructive criticism from fans of these shows, that if they don't like a direction a show is going, if they feel that one cast member in particular is constantly being ganged up on and constantly being attacked or being set up to be isolated from the group, or being accused of all of these horrible things that don't have any merit, but you're allowing the people who've gotten arrested and everything else to look like victims and look like angels, I think that is a valid criticism for people to call out. And if you have former and current cast members, Carlos King, on your shows, going on your platforms or creating their platforms or going on somebody else's platforms, basically giving similar stories about the work environments that they've experienced and the encouragement of letting things escalate in some of these scenes. And then furthermore, you're doing all this foolishness and the pay's not even making sense to continue with the foolishness. You're saying all this stuff, which is great, but you're not practicing what you preach. And I think the problem, Carlos, is you've gotten too close to a lot of your talent. And the problem when you get too close to a lot of the talent is you go under the false assumption that they're just going to always do what you want them to do. They're always going to, continue a certain narrative to keep you in, be in your good graces. But at some point, what happens with all these reality stars, Carlos, is that they get their wake-up call. They get their wake-up call that they realize, hey, this is affecting my mental health. This is affecting my brand. This is affecting my reputation. This is, affecting me personally to the point my mental health is deteriorated and something's got to give. And you keep saying on your platforms that if anybody has an issue, if anybody has a problem, that they have your number, that they can contact you directly. But we've seen receipts and examples of real time of multiple cast members telling you directly to your face, Carlos, their concerns, them feeling unprotected as Black women, them feeling that you might have been in on this, or that people in your production team have been encouraging things that they were uncomfortable talking about or uncomfortable having, or specifically requested not to film scenes with certain cast members, and they are popping up anyways to violate no contact orders, and you get offended. You get offended, and as a result, either the edit on the show changes and they get an even more unhinged, villainous edit, or basically it's a setup for those people to be phased out of the show. Or you gather the cast around, allegedly, to now all of a sudden just go in on the attack on this one person in hopes that that is going to be enough stress and drama and negativity for them to make their exit from the show from good. But the issue, like I said, which is the issue with all the reality shows that attempt to do these isolation tactics, that attempt to try to kick other people off the show, is that means the rest of you would need to clock into the show. That would mean the rest of you need something to contribute to the show. And that's the piece people fail to realize. You're so mad and you're so jealous and you're so insecure of a particular cast member or two that you're willing to ruin the show in hopes that they leave. But then you don't realize simultaneously you're ruining the show by leaving on the actual problematic people that are getting arrested and getting charged with actual crimes. And continuing to delay the inevitable, and continuing to rewrite history and hoping that the audience that watches the shows are not the same audience that frequents on social media to see what's really going on. But the problem specifically with your shows is you have to, at this point, you have to be informed of what is going on in the show in addition to what is going on social media, so that you can call out the BS, so that you can call out the inconsistencies, so that you can call out the false narratives, and you can call out the lengths that you go to, Carlos King, to protect Black men and allow Black women unprotected and allowed to fend for themselves. And then you try to throw them a bone whenever you have a fallout with another cast member, when another cast member realizes who you really are and has their Monique Samuels wake-up call. Then all of a sudden, you decide to play favorites again, and now you decide to throw bones to people that you've been ignoring for the past 9 seasons. And want to try to invite them to events and try to say, hey, you're going to be the face, you're going to be the future of the show, knowing daggone well they're not contributing to the show. So how is that going to work? But nonetheless, even when they're immersed in drama right now, they're not who's being talked about. The people who are anchoring the drama And letting the people know, putting the information out there is who the people are talking about. Because they're calling out the fact that you're trying to present a certain image on this reality show, but you're not being that forthcoming, and you're trying to blacklist people from talking about certain topics on the show when arrest information is public record. Make it make sense. So all of this is well and good, Carlos King. This is great points, great talking points. Right message, wrong messenger. I would hope, Carlos King, to be completely honest with you, I would hope that you evaluate this year in particular of the number of current and former cast members of your shows that have spoken out, that are unhappy, that have said directly, and I quote, "I feel unprotected as a black woman." That instead of you getting offended and trying to now ruin them on the show or ruin things for them to the point that they quit the show, that you have some type of HR, some type of in-house training about relations with these cast members and what is respectful, what is professional, what is appropriate. And then you need to have a sit down with the cast themselves. And you have to have the same come to Jesus meeting you guys had after the foolishness that took place on Huntsville with Tisha's mom and the fight at the Madani reopening. And say, listen, this show is not going to work if all of you are not going to contribute. This show is not going to work if you are going to try to isolate one person on the show. Everyone needs to clock in. One person can't clock in and the other 5 sit behind and just react to their storyline. Everyone needs to contribute in order for this to work. Forcing people to try to get off the show or be removed from the show or not film with certain people on the show, it never ends well. It ruins the chemistry of the show. It ruins the ensemble cast of the show. Consistently attacking one person to not discuss your personal lives is not going to work in reality TV, because as a result, you'll have people that are always going to try to dig to find out what it is they're trying to keep hidden. And that never ends well. But there has to be some accountability on your part, Carlos King, that things have gone too far, and things always go too far on your shows. You have to change the culture. You have to change the environment. But it's almost as if you get a kick out of seeing certain people humiliated every season. And it's weird. Your personal feelings about these cast members, of who you like, who you don't like, who you prefer, who you don't prefer, that should not impact the integrity of your shows. That should not impact the success of your shows. But when it's so blatant like this, Carlos King, and you have cast members currently on your shows calling you out, cast members up and quitting live in front of your face and gagging you in your panels, it's not okay. Something has to change. Something has to give. So all these Sunday messages and these Sunday motivations are great talking points. Heck, if I knew nothing about you and I just happened to go to your Instagram and watch this, I would have believed it too. But then immediately in my mind, I'm like, if this is not the pot calling the, like the hypocrisy of it all, the audacity of it all. None of us are perfect. None of us are perfect. No, we've all made mistakes. We have all did something we are not proud of. But the difference is, there are those of us who take accountability for those actions and make an effort to make change. And then there's people who are in denial and think that they're going to continue to cause destruction and cause chaos and cause havoc, and that they're going to come out of it unscathed. And think that anybody that calls them out is quote unquote a hater or a negative Nancy. No. You're preaching all of this, Carlos King, but you're not living by what you're preaching. Otherwise, we would see a different show taking place across all of your platforms. So that's great in hindsight, But the reality of with the king, let's have a conversation, Carlos King. You're not keeping the same energy. And that is why people continue to drag you. And people continue to call you out. So until people see positive change on these reality shows, this is going to be more of the same. These Sunday messages are going to go in one ear and out the other when they turn on the show and turn on the episode and see the same foolishness. So you need to ask yourself, Carlos King, what are you going to do in 2025 that is going to be different from 2024, where you have current and former cast members from your shows basically having the same story, that they feel unprotected, that production goes too far, and it gets to the point where they just up and quit the show, whether in the middle of the season or the end of the season or whatever, and you're left to pick up the pieces. And you try to blame other people for them quitting instead of looking back at yourself and assessing what you and your team could have done better. So there's that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe.